in her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we applaud those activists from Charlotte from being there from the beginning till the end. We are delighted and so thankful to have one of our true icons, one of our heroes standing for justice for the family of Shanquella Robinson, and that is none other than Dr. Ben Chavis, the head of the National Newspaper Association. Thank you so much, Dr. Chavis, for being here. Attorney Robinson and Miss Mallory, we talked about this day with the family long before it happened, and we were praying that we would not have to come here on this day. 6 months later, 200 days later, from when Miss Salamandra's baby, Shanquella, was tragically killed on that video. Taquilla's, her sister, is also present with us. And we were hopeful that the killers of Shanquella Robinson would have already started to face their, we want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay, there we go. Okay, we want to make sure everyone can hear. We were hopeful that this day never had to happen. 6 month mark from when Shanquella Robinson was killed, we were hopeful that her killers would have already been brought to justice, that they would have already been picked up with the warrant that the Mexican government issued for the unmerciful beating, brutality that saw this young black woman who at the time was naked and not fighting back. And when asked, right, Miss Mallory, why don't you fight back? She said she's not going to fight back. But yet her killers continued to brutalize her. We were hoping that that was enough evidence to say you should be arrested and let the wheels of justice start turning, because Shanquella's life mattered. And then we got the autopsy reports, and we just believed in our heart of hearts that that was enough to bring the killers to be arrested so the wheels of justice would start turning. But yet that did not happen. We were hopeful that once the FBI got engaged, that they would respect this American citizen, this young black woman who, based on the video, did absolutely nothing to warrant such a savage beating. But yet, here we are, 6 months later, and everybody who participated in the maiming and brutality of Shanquella Robinson is still completely free. Imagine if this is your child. Imagine if this is your daughter who you bear and you brought into this world. Just imagine that, and nobody is being held accountable for how they killed her. And that's why I'm so thankful to my partner, Attorney Sue Ann Robinson, and Tamika Mallory, these strong black women, saying that it's not just your sister, Taquilla. Shanquella Robinson is all our sister. And if it can happen to Shanquella Robinson, then it can happen to your sister too. So we all got to stand up for justice for Shanquella Robinson. 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 And we're so thankful to the leadership of the National Council of Negro women for allowing us to have this press conference here to talk about not only do Black Lives Matter, but we really have to fight and let everybody know that Black women matter.
Yes.
And so before Attorney Robinson addresses you, I want to give some updates, and she's going to elaborate and remind you all of the protocol that we have in place in the State Department when an American citizen is killed abroad. What normally happens, and what didn't happen with Miss Salamandra, her mother. But Miss Mallory, who I call my co-counsel too, she's not a lawyer, but she plays one on TV. We are encouraged by our meeting at the White House this morning with the White House officials and White House counsel. We met with Steve Benjamin, who is the director of public engagement for the White House, and his staff and members of White House counsel to talk about what do we do now? How do we go forward? Or do we tell Ms. Salamandra that there's no hope for justice for her child? And we are grateful that they said no, don't give up on the process, that we're going to look at what can be done to make sure that there is at least due process for Shanquella Robinson. Because we understand everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And as people of color in America, we want to make sure that everybody is given their due process. But now, once you have the evidence laid bare, like what we saw in that video,
Yes.
and there's no justification for it, then just like any other body's children, we want justice for our children.
Right.
Just simple justice. We're not asking for anything extravagant or anything extra. We just want simple justice for our children too. And so we are very hopeful. And we can never underscore the point, my son, that oftentimes, and I'm so grateful to my son and Until Freedom for always making this point, because people try to say, oh, you civil rights activists and you social justice activists, it's only when a white person kill a black person do you all start protesting and making a fuss. That is not true. Anytime one of our children is killed unjustly, then we gonna protest and we gonna petition and we gonna challenge the powers that be to say that we want justice for our children. And it doesn't matter if the hand that killed our children was a black hand or a white hand. We want justice when it is necessary that justice be done. Amen? Amen. And so, my son, thank you for always reminding us that we fight for justice anytime our children are killed unjust. And Ms. Salamandra, there is no question when you look at that video that people can say this was just. It was unnecessary, it was uncalled for, and I am so sorry at 6 months nobody has been apprehended for the murder of your child. But we will not rest peacefully until you can have some measure of peace. That is the commitment from our legal team and certainly from Tamika and the activists in Charlotte and everywhere. Nobody is going to let there be peace until we get some justice from Shanquella Robinson. And with that, we know that there's a warrant pending in Mexico. And you all are going to hear from my brilliant law partner, Attorney Robinson, Attorney Sue Ann Robinson. No relation, but she's becoming like a daughter to Miss Salamandra because she's worked so hard, went to Mexico courageously, did what they didn't do at the FBI, went to Mexico and turned over rocks to search for the truth. And I think she should be given a round of applause as she comes to the podium. Attorney Sue Ann Robinson.
Well, we said that we hoped that we wouldn't have to be here on the 200th day, but we promised you that we would if we needed to. Because when the FBI declined charges, I know it was hard for the community to understand what was happening and to understand why I was saying we're disappointed, but we're not deterred. But today we're encouraged, as Attorney Ben Crump said, because we had a meeting with the White House and they heard us and they're hearing the family and they're understanding that it is a case that came from the people. It's really the people's movement.
Yeah.
It's Shanquella Robinson. It's her family, their loss, but Shanquella is our sister. And I think that the White House is starting to get the message that we're not going to stand down. We're not going to accept no. We're not going to accept later, tomorrow, 10 years from now. We're not in that phase. We're in the phase where we understand what we have to do to protect ourselves, to protect black women. We understand that it's Malcolm X's birthday today, and we know what his quote was. We know what he said, that black women were the most disrespected. We were the most unprotected. But we stand here today saying that's going to end. We're going to stop using that because it's going to be a new day, and we're going to start with Shanquella Robinson. So we're definitely encouraged on today with our meeting. We're not concerned with what the FBI declining charges because we know that there's still a path to justice. We said that from the beginning. You can do your investigation, FBI. If the U.S. authorities don't want to move forward, get out of the way and let the Mexican authorities act on their investigation that was done close in time to her death. Let them act on what they've already said. They've already named an aggressor in the case. That's all we're asking. We're asking for the case to be prioritized, for the State Department, for the Office of International Affairs to get the file and prioritize the case and let the extradition process go forward if they've decided to decline charges. We're also asking for transparency, things that we shouldn't have to ask for, as I've said before. We would love to be out of this business of forcing the U.S. government to apply the same rights and liberties that everyone else has, but we're here. So just as a reminder, there is a protocol when a U.S. citizen is killed abroad. The consul general is actually supposed to contact the family. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in this case. Salamandra Robinson and her husband were forced to find their daughter's body, where it was located, find a funeral director in Mexico to prepare her body, and arrange for her to be brought back to the United States on their own, which is not the protocol. There is a protocol for it. The only reason why I'm going over it is for future families to know what happened here is not the protocol. That's not what that's not what's supposed to happen. After they are advised and liaison with the U.S. consul in Mexico, they are supposed to facilitate that. If there's a criminal investigation, at that point the FBI would have taken custody of the body and immediately done an autopsy. That also did not happen in this case. Okay, the U.S. authorities, the FBI, didn't do an autopsy until the day before Shanquella's funeral, where the body had already been transported, had already been embalmed and prepared for burial, which is going to compromise any autopsy and, again, compromise any investigation. That is not the protocol. That is not the protocol, to be clear. The FBI should have been involved from the beginning if they had taken it seriously, but they did not. It was the people, it was social media, it was individuals, it was black women all across the country, all across the world, saying we saw a video in which a woman was brutally attacked, in which Salamandra's beautiful, bright, amazing daughter was attacked, and something has to be done. That's why the case was brought to the forefront. That's how come her name was continuously said. That's how come we've all become involved. And that's how we are going to continue this movement with the support and the help of all of you who are watching, who are continuing to say her name, because it matters. It matters that a U.S. citizen was abroad, a crime was committed against her, and she was returned to her family in a box, and nothing has been done to the individuals who witnessed it, who participated in that. And we're not going to stop, like Attorney Ben Crump said, until justice is served. And if justice can be served in Mexico, then we're asking the U.S. authorities to get out of the way.
Amen.
And let it be served. Because there is a protocol, there is a precedent. Again, the family is not asking for anything new or different or special or preferential treatment. They're asking for something that there's been a treaty in place since 1970. We saw it with the kidnapping case. Very quickly, the FBI got on the same page with the Mexican authorities in order to resolve that, and they could do that here. So if we have to come back every 10 days, every 15 days, every 20 days to remind them of what the protocol is, we'll do that. We'll be here, and we hope you'll be here with us supporting this family until the very end.
All right, absolutely.
So I absolutely, again, and anytime I have an opportunity, cannot fathom and cannot understand the level of strength, the well that Quilla Long and Salamandra Robinson must be digging into in order to be mourning a new dynamic in their family without someone who was so important to them, and also at the same time have to be here fighting for justice, carving a path to justice, going to the White House and talking before the press repeatedly. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. But I thank them, and I'm so honored to represent them and work with them every day. And we are like family. Everybody always says, oh, her last name is Robinson, but they're not related. But now I'm saying we are related because we're sisters, we're family, and we're united in our fight for justice for Shanquella Robinson. Is Tamika now? Tamika now?
No.
Okay.
Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. And I love what Attorney Sue Ann Robinson said. If you're not going to do anything, get out the way and let the Mexican authorities go ahead and bring them to trial. And it hit me. All we want the State Department to do is just do what the protocol is. The protocol, if you know there's a warrant out there, help orchestrate that person being sent to Mexico to face the evidence and the charges against them. And you all do understand there's a plethora of evidence. I mean, you got video, you got autopsy, and you got text messages. You got first-hand accounts of them lying to Shanquella's mother and sister in their own living room. A plethora of evidence. And so I kept thinking, Attorney Robinson, when you were talking, I kept thinking of the Ludacris song, Move, Get Out the Way. Move, Get Out the Way. Move, Get Out the Way. If you ain't going to do nothing, FBI, don't stand in the way of this family getting justice. Because I know this next sister who's about to come before you, there's no quit in her. I know when we fought for justice for another black woman wrongfully killed, and everybody said they're not going to do anything, along with Attorney Lanita Baker, we never quit. And just like with Breonna Taylor, we finally got the wheels of justice turning for her family to get some measure of relief. We're going to do the same exact thing with Shanquella Robinson's family. And that's why I'm so happy to have the queen of this social justice movement with us, fighting on the front line like she always does. Y'all give it up for our co-counsel, Tamika Mallory from Until Freedom.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. And if there ain't gonna be no justice, there ain't gonna be no damn peace. I want to start off today. I really don't have much to say because usually my job is to come and talk about how everybody ain't doing nothing. And, and my job is to tear them up. And today I have a little bit of a slither of hope based upon what took place this morning, based upon the conversation that we had at the White House. But I want to start with something a little different. And that is to thank Attorney Ben Crump for taking time out of what I know. I know how busy Attorney Crump is. I know how he travels this country, came in from San Francisco this morning, flying all night to be here this morning with this family. I know the sacrifices that you make, Ben, and what he does to stand with families every day. And I remember calling Ben about 5 times one morning. I didn't even finish my sentence, and he said, I saw the video. I know what you're calling me about. Count me in. And then Attorney Shanquella Robinson and the work that she has been doing from day one to stand with the Robinson and Long family and to be there to support them. It's important that we acknowledge our own people and that we make sure we shift the narrative and ensure that the story is told properly. Because if you go on social media, they will tell you that Attorney Crump only shows up when there's going to be cameras. Well, actually, the cameras would not have been here today and throughout this entire situation if it had not been for the work of Attorney Crump and other activists and other attorneys and others who are involved in this situation. We brought the cameras to us. The cameras did not just show up for Shanquella Robinson. I also want to make sure that we acknowledge the Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury. They have been consistently on the front line for Shanquella since the very beginning. Our brother Mario and all of his associates are here. They also traveled to be with this family today. And there's a number of other individuals who showed up to support Shanquella. Why don't you all join us on this side so that folks can see those who have come out to stand with her family today. I know y'all are recording, but it's important that we allow them to record us. So if you can, please join us to be a part of the group who's shown up for her. So I want to make sure that it is clear why we are in this position, or why I believe we're in this position. Attorney Shanquella Robinson said she's no longer concerned with what the FBI will or will not do, because as the attorney for the family, her job is to get justice, and she does not have time to sit and wait or to sit and lament over what didn't happen when there are other paths to justice. I don't feel that way. I come from a different perspective. The FBI failed Shanquella Robinson and her family, not in a decision not to prosecute, but the decision not to jump on what happened to Shanquella and to show up for her in the very beginning. And the reason why it did not happen and why we have to keep saying Shanquella's name, right? When people say Tamika, there's no question I'm black. I never met a white woman named Tamika in my life. So when you say Shanquella, you know this is a black sister. So when they told the story in Mexico, whatever they said, alcohol poisoning, we don't know, whatever they said, the State Department, the U.S. Embassy over there, the FBI, they said, okay, whatever, the Negroes just had a problem, and it is what it is. The sister's dead, and okay, moving on to the next thing. Now, if someone had said Natalie or Mary or one of the other names, Kimberly, and she had a different Karen, and she had a different skin color, they would not have allowed Mexico to tell them that there was no foul play and to write that on a U.S. document and send it to her family saying that nothing happened to their child. That would not have happened. I do not believe, and I believe all of you who are standing here agree with me, that if it was a different person of a different hue, they would have shown up to figure out what happened to her and to ensure that what they were being told by the Mexican officials was real and true. But they did not do that. They said no foul play. They put that on their report, and no one from the embassy even had the respect to call this family and have a conversation with them about not just Shanquella, some girl, a United States citizen who pays taxes and had a business in this country. They did not call. So then, after that happens, oh, all the stuff. You can't find her body. She's got to be embalmed before they'll send her back. Nobody from the United States government is involved as far as we know. And if you were, let us know what you found as you were engaged. The individuals involved in this situation were able to get home. They were able to make up a story. All of this happened. And you know why? Because the FBI didn't take seriously a little girl, black girl, named Shanquella. Then they finally get a video, because you know whose job it is to ensure that black women are protected? Social media. And you know what else we gotta have? A video of us being murdered in order for anyone to care. So once they saw a video and they saw that the country had erupted with anguish and anger about what happened to her, now they want to show up and say, we're going to do something. And let me tell you, Attorney Crump, you and I know, that is usually, let the process play out, is usually, it's another way of saying, let's sweep it under the rug, or we'll seem like we're going to do something so everybody can calm down and go home. But they didn't know who they had involved. And I'm sure when they saw us, they said, oh, damn, here they go again. So the reason why they tell us they can't press charges or they won't be presenting charges for these individuals is not because they don't know what happened. It's because they didn't try to find out. Yeah. And as a result of all of that negligence from this country, from the United States of America and our government, the country that we all live in and support and pay taxes to put people in positions in these buildings and not do anything to protect us. Because of that, the United States government was unable and the FBI was unable to file charges. So now, as Attorney Robinson has continued to say, this family is left with the responsibility of carving their own path. Yeah. They have to find their own way. And without the relationships that have been built from sweat and blood, we would not have even been in the White House today. Amen. That is a respect that comes from us consistently fighting and them knowing that when we bring them something, it's real and it needs to be addressed. Amen. And so here we stand, believing that what we heard today, and we've already started to receive emails and messages trying to figure out the details of what we know and try to move things forward. It doesn't mean that you all can go home. It doesn't mean that we stop, but it does mean that someone over there cares. And I do believe that Steve Benjamin, the head of public engagement, cares about what happened to Shanquella Robinson. There may not be much that the White House can do day to day to ensure that anything happens to get justice for this family, but they certainly can hear us and make sure that whatever is in their power, that they exhaust all of those options. And so we will be with them and also continuing to fight for the State Department to do its job and to make sure that the wheels of justice in this country do not stop for Shanquella when it has begun and has continued to turn for white women and other people all the time. We are tired of it. And the thing that you need to know is that we see it, we know it, and we're going to call it out. And people are actually listening. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Tamika Mallory from Until Freedom. You know, Tamika did remind me of one thing. When it was Natalie Holloway, when it was Gabrielle Petito. I mean, you had the government, the media, everybody saying, we're going to get to the bottom of this. But when it was Shanquella, nobody was trying to get to the bottom of it. It had to be my law partner, Shanquella Robinson, go over risking her life in Mexico to try to get answers. Attorney Nabil kept saying how odd it was that the FBI wouldn't fight to protect black American citizens, but the Mexican government was saying, we will fight to protect this black woman's rights. How odd is that? How odd is that? So we are encouraged as we get ready to bring her mother up because Director Steve Benjamin heard them and talked about we're going to do what we can do to make sure that this tragedy won't be swept under the rug. And that matters. That matters so much that finally somebody listened to Miss Shanquella Robinson from the federal government, because when she's with the FBI officials, right, Sue Ann, they really didn't hear her. So we thank the White House officials for hearing her today. And she's going to share with you a bit about what she told them, who her daughter was, what happened, and what she wants to happen. And she is a heartbroken mother. You know, us lawyers have been well educated and trained to be able to come and articulate our thoughts and our feelings and our passions. This is a broken-hearted mother who's going to try her best to tell you how she laid her heart out at the White House, asking for them to help her get justice. So I want y'all to give a big round of applause for Shanquella Robinson, the mother of Shanquella Robinson.
Yes, I'm here for Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella was my daughter. We loved Shanquella. Shanquella had a family that loved her, and she was an amazing child. And she loved people. She did no wrong to no one. And we just heartbreaking how we seen a video of her being brutally beaten, and no one has been arrested yet. Someone should have been arrested right after the video was released.
Amen.
But unfortunately, that is Shanquella. No one has done anything about it. No one helped her when she was in there being brutally beaten. They telling her to just fight back, fight back. Someone should have had sense enough to step up and help her.
Yeah.
Or stop the fight, but they didn't. They continued to watch it and laugh and killed my child. And I need justice from somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody need to be arrested for this.
Amen.
You know, we can't sleep, we can't eat. You know, we have barely holding down a job because we're not getting justice for her. She needed justice. She can't rest either. And I need people to stand up.
Can you tell them how you found out about it?
I found out through a phone call. I got a phone call saying that, and really, when I got the phone call, they were saying she was alcohol poisoned. She wasn't responding. Really, Shanquella it wasn't no such thing as alcohol poison. Later on, when the video came out, they called me lying, even came to my house lying. Didn't know that a video had been leaked out.
My Lord.
And we just heartbroken. You know, we just don't know which way to go, which way to turn.
We with you. We with you. You're not alone. That's right. You're not alone, Miss Robinson. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Yes.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
No, I don't have anything else to say right now, but I'm just trying to get justice for my child, and I'm not going to stop until we can get justice.
Amen. Y'all give it up for this strong mother who refused to be silent. Are we going to stand with her? Yes. Are we going to stand with her? Yes. Are we going to stand with her? Yes. You're not alone, Miss Solomon.
Thank you.
Not alone. And then you will hear from her sister, Shanquella Long, who's going to tell you some of the things she told the White House officials about the cover-up. Sometimes, Tamika, in the law, we often say, especially in this town, you all understand, after Watergate, it became a famous phrase to say the cover-up was worse than the crime.
That's right, that's right.
Now, Shanquella's going to tell you a little bit about the cover-up, but I'm so sad to say, not even the cover-up was worse than the crime, what we saw in that video. I mean, as a father of black girls, you cannot imagine your child being naked, not attacking, not threatening in any way, but just being savagely beaten to death. And this is what they tell them what happened. Y'all give it up for Shanquella Long, the sister of Shanquella Robinson, who's been with her mother fighting the whole time.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be quick. The FBI knew about what was going on with my sister before the video even surfaced. So that had to be at least 2 weeks prior to the video being leaked. 3 individuals came to our homes and said that there was no fighting. You know how the young people say no hands was thrown. We are on an emotional roller coaster dealing with this. It's been frustrating. It's exhausting. We have to show up in pain as here today and fight for my sister. I stand on this. I don't care what the FBI says or anyone else says. I stand on this cold-heartedly. What happened to my sister, her untimely demise, was caused by the individuals that was on that trip.
That's right. That's right.
And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. She needed help then, and she needs help now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, we talked about when we were dealing with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, siblings. You know, when you share beds with people when you're little children, that's a bond that, you know, is so tight. And for Shanquella to have to stand here and talk about how they lied, about how they killed her sister, and then they still have all the evidence in the world. They have what we call ocular proof, what Shakespeare talked about in Othello, ocular proof. And they still ain't doing that. That's what had us outraged. And that's why we had to use all our resources to make sure this meeting happened with the White House, Dr. Chavis. And so we will continue to put it all on the line for our people. And we're so proud that the young people, Tamika Mallory, the young people are following the example and taking it to the next level. And we can't be more proud than the Million Youth March from Charlotte, who've been marching, petitioning, protesting, and calling them out from the very beginning. And so we want to have Mario Black from Charlotte, North Carolina, come and break it down as only our youth can.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As stated, I'm Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury, located in Charlotte. We've been standing with the family of Shanquella Robinson. until justice is served, and that's what we're here for. We all know that no justice, no peace.
Yes, sir.
Arrest the Cabo Six. Say it. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo Six. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo Six. And that's exactly what we want. So in hearing Shanquella Robinson and Tamika Mallory and Attorney Crump talking today, I am encouraged by what happened at the White House today. So we're going to continue this fight with the Robinson family, continue to fight with Attorney Crump, Tamika Mallory, Shanquella Robinson until we get justice. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo Six.
I love that. I love that, Mario. Thank you for your leadership. Give him another big round of applause. Give these young people from Charlotte a big round of applause. You know, it's so deep, Mario. Tamika and Sue-Ann and I were talking, leaving the White House, and I thought what Tamika said was really thought-provoking. The Cabo Six thought they got away with it. But knowing that Miss Salamandra and Tequila had an audience at the White House, they won't be sleeping comfortable tonight talking about we got away with it. And so the final person we will have speak to you before we take some of your questions is a man who has been in the struggle for decades. And we're so grateful he did not think it robbery to come and stand with Miss Salamandra and the family of Shanquella Robinson. My hero, a great, great civil rights icon, Dr. Ben Chavis.
Thank you very much. Sandra Bland.
Yeah.
Say her name.
Sandra Bland.
Breonna Taylor. Say her name.
Breonna Taylor.
Shanquella Robinson.
Shanquella Robinson.
Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
This is not an isolated case. I'm going to be very short and very blunt. I want to thank the National Council of Negro Women for allowing us to have the press conference here. I want to thank the real Attorney General of the United States, Attorney Ben Crump. I want to thank Attorney Robinson. I want to thank Tamika Mallory. I want to thank my young freedom fighters from Charlotte, North Carolina. In this city, on this street in the mall,
Yes, sir.
in 1995, we had 1 million black men that took a pledge. You harm one of our women, if Shanquella had been a white woman, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Now I'm telling you on behalf of black men, it's time for us to stand up.
Stand up. Yeah.
If we can't get justice from the State Department, if we can't get justice from the FBI, we're going to get justice. Black men are going to get justice for Shanquella Robinson. Enough said.
Enough said. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben Chavis. At this time, we'll take some of your questions if you have any.
Attorney Crump, you mentioned you all are encouraged that extradition can happen.
Oh, yes. We're encouraged that an extradition can happen. Attorney Robinson will break it down again for you just so we'll understand completely that there's a protocol. The only question is the State Department going to engage that protocol for this black woman? And Attorney Robinson said it best, Malcolm X's birthday. And the quote specifically is, the black woman is the most unprotected, the most neglected, and the most disrespected citizen in America. And so this is an opportunity for the administration and the State Department to say, no, we respect all our citizens equally, and black women matter. This is their opportunity to say that message, and they can say it, as my grandmother taught me, not with your words, but your actions speak so loud that we need not hear your words. That is our message from Shanquella Robinson. And I think when Steve Benjamin looked in Miss Salamandra's eyes and said, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we help you. I think he came from a place knowing that Sue Ann Robinson laid it out how they could help him. So, Attorney Robinson, won't you quickly address the protocol and what can be done?
The protocol is that the U.S. State Department has to acknowledge the documentation that the Attorney General from Mexico in Cabo has already submitted. It has to be acknowledged by the U.S. State Department. And then once it's acknowledged and they accept the documents as they are, an extradition process would start in federal court here. So we would all know that it was happening. It wouldn't be happening in secret. We wouldn't have to ask anybody. We wouldn't have a press conference. We wouldn't have to have a meeting. It would be a federal proceeding that would happen with the person who was named as the aggressor in the Mexican investigation. And so they would have their opportunity, their due process to object to being extradited. And then at that point, the process would play out how it would be. So we're only asking for the protocol to be followed.
Yeah. And I would just add, we were with Steve Benjamin, who is the director of White House Public Engagement, who has a direct line to President Biden. We also communicated with Stephanie Young, who is one of the officials working with Vice President Kamala Harris. So we're going straight to the top. She deserves to have respect and consideration from those who we march in the street for during the pandemic to pull a lever to vote to say, give my child an opportunity at the American promise of liberty and justice for all. So we're going straight to the top, and we expect them to not disrespect or neglect Shanquella Robinson. Well, we have talked to their liaisons about it. I expect to have a direct conversation with Vice President Harris about it. She, as a woman of color, I think will have even more sentiment to make sure that everything that the federal government can do for a young black woman who we all watch be unjustifiably killed on video, that there has to be something that happens. I want to believe in my heart that they will talk about this at the highest levels. We know that White House press correspondence officials, we want them asking the questions. The April Ryans of the world, the Yamiche Alcindors, we want them asking those questions. We understand we're dealing with this crisis of the debt ceiling, but that doesn't mean that we just forget that we can't do anything else. We have a whole entire State Department that isn't working on the debt ceiling so they can take their time working on Shanquella Robinson. Are there any more questions? Well, I'll say this. Tamika Mallory ain't going to give them long.
I do want to just make sure to say, so that it is not reported incorrectly, that they did not say what they would do, right? They didn't say it's going to happen or we're going to make the State Department or anyone else do anything. They said they were going to look into the situation, and I think the most important thing that happened today is that we brought all the facts and laid it out clearly and succinctly so that they can understand. Because oftentimes they're getting their news sometimes from the same places that we all get our news from. And it's broken into pieces, and you don't necessarily understand all that happened in this situation and others. And so I think what happened today was an opportunity for them to hear where the holes are and go back and figure out if those things can now be remedied in order for there to be, some path to justice for Shanquella's family.
Would you like the president
Certainly. I think they have a platform, and when they use that platform, it helps raise the issue to the forefront of the American consciousness. And that's what we want. I will say the Congressional Black Caucus members have told us it's going to be a priority for them also to say that Shanquella Robinson life matters. And so we just got to keep everybody focused on the mission of justice. What we cannot do, Hassan, is let them sweep this under the rug. And we know that there's a reason why Sue Ann and Tamika and Nabiha and us got to keep coming back continuously. Because, y'all, if we let a couple of months go by and we don't say nothing about Shanquella Robinson, nobody will say nothing about Shanquella Robinson. So we going to keep saying her name, Shanquella Robinson.
Shanquella Robinson.
Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
Any more questions?
I know they're calling in the Cabo 6, I believe, so a lot of people have seen them on social media, basically living their lives freely. What do you guys have to say to that? They're just out and about, living,
Won't be long. I'm going to let my co-counsels, Tamika and Mario, take this question. You want to go first, Mario? Okay, then Tamika, you got to, what?
We do not condone bullying or violence, but don't get too comfortable. There's still no justice, no peace. And if you've been on social media, I'm sure that's why you asked. We seen some stuff last week. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo 6. And then we're going to change it up. No justice, no rest. Arrest the Cabo 6. So don't get too comfortable out there.
Thank you, Mario. Queen?
I would just say that, we do take seriously, just like no one wanted to see Shanquella Robinson being beaten on the video to death. We also don't want to see anyone else beaten to death. We don't want it to ever be out there that this family is supporting or promoting that people be harmed. But what we do know with our common sense is that when our government fails to move and do what it needs to do, then the community believes that its only recourse is to step in to try to protect our sister Shanquella and themselves, because we obviously have some very dangerous people out there that can beat a woman to death and have others to stand by and watch it and do nothing. These are some very dangerous individuals. And if they did it to Shanquella, they could do it to someone else. And so I think that the question, it should never be a question to this family about what they want to see happen, but it should instead be turned on the United States officials to say that you need to do something to ensure that no one else feels that justice needs to be in their hands, but that the system plays out as it is supposed to.
Amen. Thank you, Tamika. Angelo, anything else? Monique Preston, anything else? Because in conclusion, with her mother standing beside this podium, we want to remind you what this is about. That's right. Look at the face of this beautiful young woman who had her entire life ahead of her.
Yes.
She is worth the fight. Will you all fight with us? She is worth the fight. Will you all fight with us? She is worth the fight. Will you all fight with us? Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
Say her name.
Shanquella Robinson.
Thank you to Sue Ann Robinson. Thank you to Until Freedom and Tamika Mallory. Thank you to the Million Youth March and Mario Black. And especially, thank you to Quilla Long, the sister of Shanquella Robinson. And thank you to Salamandra Robinson, the mother of Shanquella Robinson. Thank you all for refusing to let them sweep your daughter's death under the rug. We'll keep you updated. Yeah.